The Nikon Z50II has become a very popular entry-level camera, and after using it for some time now, I've got to know its pros and cons. In this video, I'm going to be giving you 5 reasons why you should buy and not buy the Nikon Z50II in 2025. Since I first bought the Nikon Z50II, I've mostly been impressed with its performance. But there are some areas where I think Nikon could have improved some features. So the Nikon Z52 has caught your eye, and now you're deciding whether you should buy or not. No doubt you've clicked on this video to see what this guy has to say. Well, I've bought this camera with my own money, and I'm not sponsored by anyone in any way. Anyway, that being said, let's head off and I'll give you my 5 reasons why you should buy the Nikon Z52 in 2025. I believe the Nikon Z52 now has better ergonomics than the original Z50 camera that I've used in the past. With its slightly larger body and its deeper grip, it makes hand holding the camera for longer periods more comfortable. Plus, Nikon have given the Z52 a flip-out LCD screen. This comes in very handy for content creators wanting to vlog or frame themselves more easily in the studio. The original Z50 had a flip-down screen, which turned out to be a bit of a pain as the tripod you were using would always get in the way of being able to see yourself. The Nikon Z52 now comes with an X-Speed 7 processor. That's the same processor as we see in the more expensive Nikon Z8 and Z9 models. You've got some serious power packed into this little compact camera now. You now have a range of different subject detection modes, including dedicated bird AF. You'll get longer burst shooting times in higher frame rates, allowing you to capture all the action. For example, from birds landing or taking off to portrait work or sports. Just like the full frame Nikon Z8 and Z9 model cameras, the Nikon Z52 comes with pre-capture release. You can now capture action up to 1 second before pressing the shutter button. This comes in very useful for shooting things like birds and wildlife or sports. The Nikon Z52 comes with internal recording of 10-bit N-Log 4K video up to 60 frames per second. This gives you greater creative control in editing your videos. N-Log is a log function that allows you for a wider dynamic range and better color grading. And the Z52 is the first DX camera from Nikon to offer this feature. The Nikon Z52 is a game changer for photographers seeking high performance without breaking the bank. When you take a good look at all the features you get on the Nikon Z52 and compare it to other cameras in the Nikon Z lineup, this camera gives you some amazing bang for your buck. At the time of making this video, here in Australia, the Z52 body only retails on average for $1,500. In the US, approximately $900. Okay, so that's my 5 reasons why you should consider buying this camera. Let's head off now and I'll give you my 5 reasons why you shouldn't consider buying the Nikon Z52 in 2025. At the time of making this video, the range of good DX crop sensor zoom lenses available for the Z52 is very limited, as compared to the full frame lens selection you have to choose from, which has a much larger range in varying focal lengths. A lot of the DX zoom lenses come in kit form and have variable apertures, whereas there's a greater range of zoom lenses for full frame cameras with fixed apertures. Just like all the other cameras in the Nikon Z crop sensor lineup, the Nikon Z52 has no inbuilt IBIS or vibration reduction as it's known for the Nikon brand. I've actually made a video on this showing you the difference when using a VR versus a non-VR lens on the Z52, and I'll leave that video at the end of this one so you can check it out a little later on. A lot of people out there were disappointed when the Nikon Z52 was released. It has the same 20.9 megapixel sensor as the previous model Nikon Z50. Other competitors' crop sensor cameras have higher megapixel sensors. So in doing this, did Nikon miss the opportunity to compete with other brands? Or are they saving their next release DX crop sensor for another camera perhaps in the future? Even though Nikon have now given the Z52 an EN-EL25A battery as standard, the battery life isn't the best when you're out doing heavy shooting with the camera in stills and video. I found I needed about 3 batteries on average that lasted me the day when out shooting birds and wildlife. Look, at the end of the day, the Nikon Z52 now packs a lot of punch in performance, but the trade-off is it also requires extra power to do so. Yes, the Z52 has that fantastic pre-capture release feature, but unfortunately it only shoots in JPEG. Who knows, maybe we might see a firmware update in the future giving us RAW in pre-capture release. But at the time of making this video, well, it ain't happening. Also, when it comes to frames per second in mechanical shutter, Nikon have given us the same amount of frames per second as per the previous Z50 model, which maxes out at 11 frames per second. I know a lot of people out there didn't bother buying this Nikon Z52 because they were really wanting that Nikon D500 replacement in a mirrorless camera. Now, I know a lot of you out there are waiting for Nikon to give us an official Nikon D500 in a mirrorless crop sensor camera, myself included. And I believe that camera will eventuate down the track. But the Z52 is not a D500 replacement. I think people have got to get their heads around that. It's simply an upgrade from the original Nikon Z50 camera. I've enjoyed using this Nikon Z52 and will continue to do so. It's a great little camera packed full of features, especially for the price. And the image quality in stills and video is very impressive. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video has helped you out when you're considering buying this camera. Never stop creating, and I'll see you next time.